There's 1,000 different ways to cook beef stew. Everybody's got their way. What's really interesting about visiting places like this is learning the culture.
So if you want to come camp with us, we will leave all that information in the description. The sea tragically took them, but was also the place where they worked so hard and found their joy and found their passion.
Because I like how anything is made. I don't care if I'm gonna like it or not. I just like the process of how it's made.
You can see Canada today.
That's so crazy. This is,
oh my
been
gosh,
down here.
that's how close it is?
Yeah.
We've been here
Oh my
3
God.
times and we've never seen that land over there.
Nope, not once.
I thought it was a huge amount of water.
Yeah, we thought it was like a much longer bridge.
Are you kidding me?
It's right there.
You literally couldn't see that for the past
Look at this.
4 days.
Hey, Canada.
That's hilarious.
That's so close.
Oh my gosh.
Look, this looks so familiar.
All right, let's go check out a museum about fish. Small, tiny fish.
Little baby ones. Didn't know there was a lighthouse over there. Look at the entrance to this museum.
Oh, this is it?
Yes, look.
Oh, this is great.
Oh my gosh. These are my wild roses.
Wild roses and lupins.
Oh my gosh.
Dream come true.
It's literally like our quintessential Maine flowers that remind Corey and I both of Maine together.
Oh, this is cool. We're going to learn about smoking tiny fish.
How cool.
It smells amazing in here.
It does smell amazing in here.
You probably don't smell it anymore, do you?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Everybody done it. You know, your neighbors all, and they take their babies with them, even in the carriages. Skin herring? Yes. We had to have the money then.
I always remember people used to say, when the town stinks, that means everybody's working.
You couldn't go downtown Saturday night, you couldn't get a place to park your car nowhere. Both sides of the street would be lined with cars. After the movies, you couldn't hardly get up the street when the movies was out. And we used to go down there and then, run around, talk with the neighbors, you know, and your friends. And all the time there was hooting and hollering going on, of course, up and down the street. The young people running around in front, dodging in around the cars. Oh, it was a lively place.
I used to work here back in the 80s, and this deck used to go all the way out to the water's edge there. This deck connected all these buildings, so it looks a lot different now.
Okay, so we're under this sturdy looking structure because it's raining. So look at this.
Oh
There's no floor.
my gosh, look.
Those are all the slats and stuff. So we're gonna get into that in a second. We couldn't really film our tour. Our guide didn't really want to be filmed, so we respected his wishes, and we're gonna just talk about what he told us, which was amazing information.
Fascinating.
First of all, I'm gonna talk about the fact that there used to be one of these buildings we're under, right where Layla is, right there. Huge building. During a storm 5 years ago.
Some people in this town wanted to preserve this old brine shed, but Mother Nature had other plans.
It was such a high tide that it floated away. Like, it went downstream, got caught on the shore over there in Canada. It was like a big thing for here. So there were people going over there trying to get it back because the Canadians were dismantling it. So they were cutting it up. They would not give the building back to the United States, which seems kind of silly, but maritime law, if something lands on your shore,
It's yours.
it's yours. That stuff is still in effect right now. Enough about Canada, since we can't go there.
Since we're not allowed to go across the bridge.
Our tour guide was incredible. He used to work here back in the 80s. It was shut down in the 90s. 91 this is the last smokehouse in operation in the United States, and
Correct.
it was shut down in 91, which is a long time ago, but not really that long ago. And it was doing things the exact same way since the 1800s. Like
1700s.
1700s? Doing things the
1700s.
exact same way since the 1700s, smoking fish the same way. This is a little known fact he shared with us about herring. Sardines are just small herring. I don't know, I thought that was kind of interesting. There were more people here in the early 1900s than there are now.
Yeah.
It went into a steady decline, obviously, like a lot of things do. This whole island or peninsula was just covered in smokehouses. It was just such a big industry here. So I'm going to share really quick about the process, because I like how anything is made. I don't care if I'm going to like it or not. I just like the process of how it's made. The only innovation since the 1700s was putting wheels on the carts that they moved the fish with. That's
Isn't
it.
that insane?
Wheels. That's it since the 1700s. It's the first thing they do, which is ironic because it's out of salt water that they come from, is put them in salt water for a week. Now, granted, it's a higher concentration of salt. This is obviously paraphrasing because there's too many details.
There's a lot of details.
After a week, they're hung on these rods, like 20, 30 on that rod, and then they're hung up here in places like this. And our tour guide was telling us that he was one of the guys that climbed up in there and hung them, because it was a group of 3 guys all the way up, because that stuff was up there.
So they were handing these rods full of fish up to each other, and this is while it's smoking.
Yeah.
So they're sitting up in the smoke, and I'm like, this is crazy. And he was saying that the fish have so much oil on them, the oil drips out during the smoking process. So those are very slippery, like the things that they're climbing up. It's impressive. OSHA was not involved at that time.
OSHA was definitely not involved. And then they were smoked for up to 8 weeks. You know, that's a long, long time.
I had no idea. He said that the owner would walk in and someone would grab a rod down and he would shake it, and if it made like a little bit of a tinging noise because they were hardened at that point, it was done.
Yeah, it's an incredible process. They were put in wooden boxes with wax paper. Is this done raining? Maybe we
we're
can
not
stop hiding in here.
Hopefully it wasn't too bright behind us. It's lovely.
It's not raining. And there's a lighthouse over there.
We never knew.
We never knew. You might not be interested in the process of this. What's really interesting about visiting places like this is learning the culture.
Yeah.
Not just the pretty sights and all that. Well, like, how did it come to be? What were they making?
Sure.
How did the people start migrating around? They were following work.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of that.
And for us, we think it's so important that your children are growing up learning the history of where you're from, learning the history of other places, because it's going to get lost if generations don't hand down that information. And that's why they have places like this, these small museums where people are trying to hand down the history and to conserve as much as possible so that they can share what happened. There were full families that grew up here. He worked alongside a woman that was 80 years old that had been working here since she was a child.
If you come up to Lubec, take this tour. It's like $4 a person. Keeps this place going. Check this place out.
Always look for little local museums wherever you're traveling. They have been some of the best enriching information we've gotten about
Yeah, we could
areas.
come here and we could read some stuff about it, but we wouldn't, you just don't get the full immersion. Like,
true.
we wouldn't have known that thing just floated away and Canada decided to steal it.
This dock went all the way out to the water. Like, this was a huge building.
Now, I have no idea the circumstances. That's the
just the
story.
story.
So, come visit
Please do.
Lubec, easternmost town in the United States.
I know. One thing we didn't talk about yesterday is that one of the main historical significant pieces of Lubec and its story is that the very first naval officer, who was the beginning of the Coast Guard and was put here by George Washington.
Essentially, the Coast Guard started here. They started the Coast Guard because there was so much, illegal trade between Canada and the US. So that's essentially why it got started and is what it is today.
Yeah. So very significant historical people were involved in this little town at the beginning of our country's history in the 1700s.
That's wild.
It is wild. And as a Mainer, I didn't know that. Isn't that crazy? Oh, look.
What does it say?
PATD.
Here, let me see if I can focus on it.
Focus on it.
There's so much old glass down here. Like, I guess just stuff has been just thrown here for over 100 years. So there's like old glass bottles, and you can read all the writing on them just everywhere over here. This place is not picked over. That's crazy. You can probably look up the patent number. All right, let's go check out this little harbor over here. And then we gotta get back. We're gonna make some beef stew. This day in this ocean and this fog is begging
Calls for
some beef stew.
The rain holds. I want to sit out by the fire.
So these are all the names of the fishermen lost at sea.
This was started in 2009 by a bunch of volunteers that wanted a representation of all of the fishermen that have lost their lives. The sea tragically took them, but was also the place where they worked so hard and found their joy and found their passion. And the sculptor made it as a pathway to peace. So that's why you walk through the sculpture. And it was finished in 2014. It's just beautiful.
Remember they had a fisherman's memorial at the end of the Homer Spit in Alaska?
Yep, it was beautiful.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. This was their entire lives, and the sea is rough and rugged, and we always have to remember just how powerful it is, and it can take away life. There's pictures down there of someone touching the name. I think it was this one. She had her hand under Clifford Newman.
Oh man.
It's beautiful.
That's unfortunately a big list. And there continues over here. Hopefully there's no more added to it. The fog definitely adds to the scene. I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty awesome. All right, like I said, we're gonna cook some beef stew. I mean, this weather's just got us in the mood for, you know, some comfort food. So there's 1,000 different ways to cook beef stew. Everybody's got their way. We're gonna do ours in the Instapot because, you know, Instapot is comfort food now, not comfort food in like 10 hours. So you're gonna wanna start with a shoulder roast or a chuck roast, something with a little bit of marbling. All right, so you can do this in the Instapot, but I decided to sear this on the Blackstone along with the onions and minced garlic. I keep it simple, you know, carrots, potatoes, and I like to have it in equal portions, so all the things the same. So after you've seared your beef, you're going to want to put it in the Instapot with about 1 quart of beef broth, a couple bay leaves, salt, pepper, thyme, Worcestershire sauce, or Chestershire sauce, something like that, and red wine if you like it. Set the Instapot to stew, the stew mode, and set it for 22 minutes. After that's done, you can add your potatoes, your carrots, and a little cornstarch to thicken it up. Set the Instapot for another 15 minutes and cook it again. I do that because I don't like my vegetables too mushy. I got some texture issues. And after that 15 minutes is done, set it to slow cook and kind of just let it simmer to finish the way you like it. And then don't forget some nice crusty bread. So what's your favorite comfort food? Leave it in the comments below. And surprise, surprise, another moving day, and it is still foggy, although it's pretty bright out. Were you surprised when it was still foggy this morning?
Not even a little bit.
We're actually going into the mist over there. It's only like a mile away, but it's going to take us about 50 minutes to get there. So we're going to Eastport.
Another long drive day for us.
Another long drive day. If it wasn't foggy here, you could see it.
I'm like squinting. I don't understand what's happening right now.
I think we're going to win this battle. 4th of July is coming up, and it is supposed to be clearing up by then. So we have a couple more days, and then it's going to be cleared up. Okay, so we made it to Eastport to Seaview Campground. It was raining on the way over here, but it is nice now. The sun is out. It's the first time we've seen the sun in like little while.
A long time, and it is so nice. It's getting us so excited to wrap up our stuff in Maine. We have a few more episodes for you guys, but we are headed out west, and you know that that always just feels like adventure. So we're going to be calling that Season 8 2.0. We're really excited for what is to come later on in the season. So how we plan throughout the year is that we use big dots and little dots, and one of our really big dots this year is going to be this fall, end of September. We're going to be at the Lippert Getaway in West Yellowstone. There are just a few more spots left, so if you want to come camp with us, we will leave all that information in the description. Let us know if you have any questions in the comments. We have recently heard that we're going to be tour guides on one of the buses to go into Yellowstone National Park, so if you do register, make sure that you sign up for that day and ask to be on the FOS bus. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty funny.
It should be.
You're like a light storm, a light storm. A light storm.